So, what is the difference between information governance policies and data management policies? Information governance policies focus on privacy, security, and compliance with data protection regulations, things like the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, California Consumer Privacy Act, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act, etc. And they address system ownership, treatment of personal or sensitive information, usually about individuals, and the actions that you take in the event of a breach. In fact, in most cases, you could rename your information governance policy as data protection policy. Data management policies, on the other hand, focus on all of data management, including quality, owners and stewards, integration, ethics, data science, and they address the life cycle of the data, literacy and education needs of the people within the organization, the role of an enterprise data model, and processes to monitor and maintain good data management. So, let's look specifically at those differences. Information governance policies focus on personal and sensitive data about individuals, whereas the data management policy focuses on all data. Information governance, more about compliance and breach management, as opposed to enabling the improvement of data management. Information governance policies tend to avoid things going wrong and then dealing with them when they do, as opposed to data management policies, which is looking at continuous operational improvement. And information governance is focused on data security, as opposed to the 14 other aspects of data management that are identified by the Data Management Association and that are included in our own Data Management Maturity Assessment tool. So, could you have one policy to do both? Yes, this is of course possible, and for clean starts when you don't have anything already in place, it's actually probably the best way of doing it. A single policy covering what is typically called information governance and all of the other aspects of data management. However, where there is an existing information governance policy that's well embedded, it can be easier to create a new policy alongside it, rather than re-educate and change the organizational design to fit a single policy. For example, there may well be an information governance lead or team, but they're unlikely to be the same person as the head of data or chief data officer who would lead on data management. This can be okay, but it could make it harder to clearly identify responsibilities between these two groups within a single policy. So what should you do if you don't have a data management policy? Well, of course, get one. Start from the information governance policy you have and consider whether it's viable to expand its scope to include the other 13 aspects of data management and the associated policies. Secondly, be clear about the policy objectives. Typically, this will include effectiveness and efficiency, informed decision-making across the organization, encouraging innovation, and operational improvement. Next up, you'll need to identify compliance requirements, for example, regulators, and standards, like our own Data Management Maturity Assessment, or data standards like OSCO, IFC, or ISO 13616, which is the International Bank Account Number. Identify the ones that will provide the context for the principles and practices of data governance and data management. And also be explicit about any alignment with industry, national, or global approaches or methods, for example, the data management body of knowledge. And then finally, make sure your policy is underpinned by a robust data strategy. If you don't have one, then it's usually fastest to develop the data strategy first and then the data management policy, as this provides time to upskill the relevant stakeholders and tends to lead to a policy that is more alive and achievable within the organization.